I think it enriches the discussion, it probes further, you know, like you start thinking of how you need to anchor your answers, how you need to back it up, but also you start looking at more detail, and then you may find other things that you hadn't seen before.
So in your own head, you're forcing yourself to look at other things to help back up what you're thinking. So even before the teacher tells you to do that, you're internalizing that yourself. Okay. Somebody else. Yeah, Adela?
Yesterday, I had a problem with the hierarchical nature, and so being an extrovert, I tend to think out loud and just sort of spit it out here. I've been chewing on it ever since, and the learning that I've evolved to is that I think I was making the wrong assumption about stage one, that it's actually an incredibly deep and rich stage because of that second question. And I think of that, you know, Zen thing that we're all striving for, the beginner's mind. And so my mind in the last 24 hours has completely flipped. Now my bias is circular and spiral, so I have to confess that I probably still would like to see now stage one in that center, because it is, that second question really catapults one yards. So I have learned a lot in 24 hours. Thanks.
So stage one is not so simple.
There's
a real lot going on.
And I would be honored to be at stage one. You know? I'm going to consider it an honor to be, you know,
a real stage one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need a T-shirt.
That's what's so fun about working together to help each other get these. Yeah, Mary?
I think that question from the group standpoint helps hold it, you know, it has a lot to do with group cohesion. It keeps everybody together and looking at the same thing. And when I use it in the classroom, I tell my kids, you know, that make sure that you're looking when they give evidence, because in that area of the picture you may see something else you hadn't noticed before. And it sort of holds by saying, what do you see that makes you say that? And the person giving the statement explains where it is they are looking, then that tends to focus everyone on that particular area, and it keeps the group together.
So the kids are really using each other as a resource, and when they make those deeper comments, it forces the other kids to listen to them even more.
Right.
Okay. Any other things about that question? Hildy?
Yeah, it's actually very powerful, way above and beyond VTS and looking at art. I suspect not just children, but all of us are guilty of making sweeping statements without backing.
No.
All the time. That's my evidence. You know what? I was thinking about that. I see this whole many times. But right, and we probably do it even more when we're in a confrontational situation
with our children,
or spouse or whatever, but or a friend. But if we can train ourselves just to think about that more often, I just think in life it's a great skill to develop.
So this transfers to very practical things in our everyday living. Yeah. Okay. Wow, that was a lot. Those were really insightful comments. They're really, really great. And then there's the next question. What more can you find? You?
I think just connecting back to what Stephanie had mentioned about maybe the stage one viewers thinking that they're done, but then kind of needing that little push, and then they kind of tend to say a little bit more. So it helps them. It validates what they've said, but it's like, look a little bit more.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So they might be afraid actually to keep looking, or
they
think they got it all. So that little bit
Yeah.
of a prompt will push them on. Okay. Yeah, Stephanie.
I think that question is really like countercultural in a way that most of us, we see stages of life or things as when we get finished. I'm finished with this now. I have my degree. I have my raise. I bought the house. I made the thing. And it's finished. And so we get so like finish-minded, like now we're done. I've gotten the painting, you know, I have the t-shirt, all of that. But with this, it's never, it's a really strange way of looking. But you know what I mean? Like it's instead
Absolutely.
of like I've seen it, it's what more is there?
It just
Always,
leaves, it's always
always.
open, it's always open for something more. And I think we noticed that in the interviews yesterday, that one of them said, that's it, and then we looked at the other one with the VTS, and they ended it in such a way that it could have been more. So like for kids, that's a really amazing thing for them to do that they're not used to doing even in a classroom. Yeah. Eddie?
I think it encourages, I was just at NAEA conference, and a lot of the sessions talked about how as viewers we want to develop relationships with the works of art that we're considering, and I see that as the stages that Abigail Hausen suggests progress, that people are becoming friends with works of art, and this question is really opening up that concept to even very young viewers. And it's just a personal anecdote. A friend of mine who is an art historian, he studied art history in grad school, we visited with him in New York, and he said, you know, my friend and I said, come to MoMA with us. He's like, oh, I've seen everything there. And it's I was like, A, how's that possible? But B, like, there's always something more to see in everything, even if you've seen every piece on display. So I just thought it was a funny.
So the stage 3 viewer just thought, yeah. So
We would never do that.
there's always something more to see. And the relationship of a painting like a very close family member or friend. Anything else about that question? Yes, sir.
One of the artists on view now, Grayson Perry, gave a talk here last week, and he said that part of his job as an artist is to make something that you don't just walk up to and think about it for a minute and be like, okay, I get it, and then move on and never think about it again. And I feel like What More Can We Find kind of honors the work of art, thinking of it as kind of an unanswered question where there's always more to find.
That the artist is really posing something for us to think about.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and that it isn't as simple. It isn't simple. Yeah, Tanya.
It reminds me of something else that I heard last year, which I was kind of taken aback when I first heard this, but this presenter's comment was that artworks in museums are like tombstones. And some of you might have heard this before. It was at a creativity talk last year at the National Art Education Association conference. But when he went on further to explain himself, it really made sense. And what he was trying to say, what he was trying to communicate to all of us, what our jobs were as educators, was to make sure that we bring them back to life by getting people to reconnect with these works of art, and that they shouldn't remain simply as memorials to what an artist created years ago or yesterday, but that it's about engaging people and telling the art historian that you too can come back and look and re-engage and re-experience a work of art. So it kind of renewed my zest for what I did when I heard that, and encouraged me to remind people also to always come back. You know, you've seen it once, now experience it again.
Mm-hmm. And I think about art as being kind of eternal, and the concepts that are in art are the same concepts that people fought with 2,000 years ago and thought about 2,000 years ago. And trying to make the museum not a dead place, and someplace that people want to come to engage in things. Great. Hannah?
I mean, the comment, I've seen it all, that is so sad, because it's all about introspection. You know, the artwork doesn't change, we do. And so the lack of acknowledgement on the part of that person that he isn't evolving or changing or looking with life experience accumulating, that's quite bizarre. That that person considers himself to be an artist or even an art historian.
Well, he may have said it partly flippantly, but
Yeah.
but the point is that there are stages, and he's obviously he's at a different stage.
But I mean, I think the stage thing, the paradigm is problematic, and that's come up a couple of times in our conversation this morning. And I wonder if Hausen felt like she had to use the term stage to be accepted by cognitive psychologists. Or remember, it doesn't really fit. If stages overlap, and if you can be in stage 4 but also be in stage 1, there's probably another paradigm, even a Venn diagram, that would more effectively describe what she's trying to get across, but maybe that makes it sound, maybe there's buy-in by people who want progression, you know, and competition, that you can move up. But yeah, I'm rambling, but that's so sad.
So the question of somebody just stagnating in one place without
Well, and that's the
anything.
product,
Yeah.
not the process. That's a product-driven stance.
So VTS could be helpful for someone like that, to open their eyes again and to interact. Okay. Any other comments about the questions? I think you really pulled a lot of information. You can really see how those questions work to support that beginning viewer. Thank you.